Okay, this video is going to be something a little bit related to Aatrox, but I don't really intend all these videos to be related to Aatrox. I just tend to play a lot of Aatrox, and so these videos tend to deal with concepts that I notice because I play a lot of Aatrox. So once again, I just want to reiterate, as per the last time as well I did this, that these videos are meant to be, at least these videos are smaller issues, more of gripes and things that are actually like a big deal that I really hate, okay? So please don't take this very seriously. Okay, this is mostly me just poking fun at something or asking for something to be changed. These are not huge issues that you guys should get extremely riled up about. Please don't take this too seriously, because there's definitely a subset of the League community that takes things pretty seriously, and I don't want to be a part of the more toxic side of that stuff for now, okay? So please make sure to like, please make sure to subscribe. Again, I'm saying that at the beginning because it really, really helps me. So this video is going to be on Aatrox's E. But not particularly Aatrox's E. This video is going to be sort of an issue with some of these more gap closey elements of the game, and as a deal with terrain. Okay, so what is the issue? I don't know if you would call it an issue, but the thing with Aatrox's E that I want to talk about. Well, Aatrox's E doesn't go that far, right? You can see that, but it does go far. Oop, okay, let me try that again. Let's go far over terrain. See that? It does go far over terrain. Oh, my editor cut that out. Anyway, oh shit, I'm the editor. Anyway, so Aatrox does go far over terrain. Now, this is something that people that play Aatrox know. This is something that people that play against Aatrox know. He goes far over terrain. Aatrox as a champion is more powerful when near walls that he can hop. This makes him good at flanking. This makes him good at getting into position and things like that. There's some walls, especially, that are a little bit more difficult to pull off, but definitely can show off just how good this champion is at doing that, okay? Now, to be clear here, okay? This is very much, at least when you look at the numbers, a very much intended decision by Riot that Aatrox should be weaker over flat land, but stronger when near terrain. This makes him a good flanker, this makes him a good champion at getting into position and not just running at people from the front, okay? Now, the reason that I'm bringing this up is because when Gwen was released, I noticed something in particular about the champion. Now, just to be clear, Aatrox's E, the ability to hop over terrain from a longer distance, is not mentioned in the tooltip, okay? And that's where I'm starting to get this issue from, okay? Because when I made that video on Fiora players actually commented and they said, well, a lot of champions have bonuses that aren't listed in the tooltip. It's a bit unfair to you to blah, 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 blah. Now, I don't like whataboutism arguments, okay? If you play Fiora, then you should defend your champion, and you shouldn't bring up other champions to, you know, now, sometimes that's fair, right? But I feel like, at least in the regards of, should tooltips be more clear? Should you be able to learn about a champion more without having to delve into the extreme depths of a wiki and know people who know things? Like that's the thing with the Fiora parry videos. I had to know people who know things, and I had to ask them, and I had to clarify, and a lot of the Fiora players didn't even know how parry worked, okay? So that's a bit of a difference here. The Aatrox's E, it's pretty clear it's going farther over terrain very quickly into playing the champion, and on the wiki, you can just see the numbers right here. So anyway, with Gwen, the thing I noticed about Gwen that makes me believe that this should be clarified a bit more. Gwen moves 350 on her E, that is her gap. She moves 350 and 450 over terrain. Aatrox moves 300 and 500 over terrain. Aatrox moves 50 less over flat terrain and 50 more over walls and stuff like that, okay? So that means that Aatrox is slightly worse than Gwen at moving over flatland and slightly better than Gwen at moving over terrain. This is an advantage in his kit that, let me pull up his E here real quick. This is an advantage in his kit that is not listed in his tooltip, not mentioned, nothing at all. This in particular is a bit of an annoying issue for me because it's one of these small details that can get really annoying when people don't know it and people don't comment on it. This is one of the advantages of Aatrox's kit, and in a lot of ways it does actually, I'll actually insult Aatrox's balance here. It's one of these things that is unlisted, that you don't know about unless you look it up, that's very powerful and a very strong aspect of his kit. So it is a very hidden power. I don't like hidden power attributes like that because it means effectively you're raising the skill floor on the champion what is the word I'm thinking of here? You're raising the skill floor on the champion artificially by not listing what they can do. This would be, in my opinion, a very Riven thing to do. To do something like that. So yeah, I'm going to insult Aatrox's balance, and I'm going to say that this is not good for the game. It's not healthy that a champion's skill floor is artificially raised, not by the difficulty of playing the champion, but rather in knowing that he goes very far over terrain and knowing all the different things you can do with that. Now, I'll just use this example right here. Now, there's one of these walls I'm not great at doing, so it might take me a bit, but to show you how this artificial skill floor increase can affect you is if I'm playing Aatrox, and I'm going for a gank on bot lane, and let's say my bot lane's right around here, right? If I'm going for this gank, I can walk around this wall, and if they have a ward here, they can see me coming for a while, right? I could walk around this wall, or I could go into this wall and hop it. And you can see the hop is a bit of a time saver and moves me a bit far. But it gets better than that because there's a second wall I could potentially, if I know that this isn't warded and I want to save time, you can see the vision. I'll scroll back. Let's go back a little bit. You see the vision of the turret is here, right? So the second I walk here, I'm in vision. So if I walk from here to here, I'm in vision the whole time and they can react to it, right? And that's a good bit of time. But if I'm here, and I might scale this up, so don't make fun of me if I do. If I'm here, and then I hop, yep, okay. If I'm here, because there's a little divot in the wall that always messes with me, because these are not actually flat hitboxes, they actually move up and down, and I'm sure someone has the little, there's this little, it's really weird and annoying to play around. But there's this little groove right here that if you get in, see how he is actually like walking right now? So there's this little groove that if he gets in here, he can do this. So look at the difference. Here to here. Right? Or Aatrox's bot lane. Quick guys, get out, and he's already like right up on you. And that's a big power advantage of a kit that he's not listed anywhere. And in fact, you have to know two different concepts to hop this wall. You have to know that A, there's a little divot here that you can get into. And then B, you have to know where to put your mouse once you get into that divot. And then I guess actually C, so three different things. You have to know that it goes over terrain very far anyway. Because if you looked at Aatrox's hop, right? Like if you were the average player who watched someone play Aatrox, would you assume that Aatrox can hop from here to here? Would you assume that? No, you would never assume that. You'd be like, well, no, maybe like here to here. I mean, it's not a very far dash, but yet, try it again, yet, there we go. Yeah, I know, this wall really messes with me. This is one of the more, this is actually one of the trickier ones. And it's funny I would say that because there's some really tricky ones, and yet this one, which should be simple to me, I just can't seem to do well. But you can see here, this is very powerful. Now, this is one of those advantages of Aatrox that is an intended advantage. You can see, once again, 300, 500, whereas Gwen, 450, or say 350, 450. So, very much intended advantage of the champion. By the numbers, right? You could say maybe they accidentally and never went back to look, right? But who would accidentally give the champion practically double the wall hop range? Now, you can say they literally accidentally, like, oops, they're bad, right? But you have to imagine, after watching so many worlds, watching so many Aatrox plays, watching so many streams, eventually a rider, if this was truly an accidental thing, would have looked at this and been like, that seems a little bit far range. And yet, obviously, they have not. So I believe, and everyone who's sane would believe, that this is an intended advantage of the champion. In addition, it gives him a different play style and a different gameplay than other champions. You can see here, another thing is Gwen, her E, refunds the cooldown if you hit someone. So she can't actually wall hop multiple terrain very quickly like Aatrox can in order to gain a good flanking position or in order to escape ganks or things like that. Okay, so this is a second thing that, you know, when people look at these two abilities, they look at them and they say, well, they're kind of similar and blah, blah, blah. But when you play the champions and when you know how they work, actually, they're kind of not. Yeah, they're both dashes. Yeah, they both have a Q that you can move with them. But outside of the direct combat, what do we want to call it? Outside of the direct combat situation, these two abilities function actually pretty differently, similarly, like all movement abilities were, similarly, and yet not. Okay, so I'm going to use a third example here to show you why this can be frustrating. Is Renekton's E moves 450 with no additional distance over terrain. Now, in addition to the long cooldown, Renekton's E has difficulty going over terrain because it has no actual terrain modifier. So once again, this goes back into what I'm saying about hidden power. It's a hidden power of Aatrox, not listed anywhere, that he can go over terrain better than a champion whose ability has more than double at the later ranks the cooldown. So he's more than double the cooldown and goes over terrain less well. A lot of people who play Aatrox, me included, in fact, I'm just saying me, when I play Aatrox, it can be a bit annoying when you start playing other champions and you realize, oh yeah, people can't go over walls that easily. People can't flank and get into a position that easily. And yet that is something about Aatrox that isn't really listed or noted anywhere. Yeah, you can see here, how intended this is. I forgot about this actually. I'm just mentioning this now. He moves faster when dashing over thick terrain. So they actually have a gameplay mechanic. They have something put into the game, right, that makes him go faster when he hops over long terrain versus normally. So not only are you moving over more terrain, not only are you skipping over wall, but your character itself, the dash is faster. And I don't believe that champions should have these sort of like hidden things not listed anywhere. Because when you look at this ability, Aatrox dashes. He can use this ability when winding up his other abilities. You would assume by reading that tooltip, you would assume that Aatrox, the main aspect of this ability, is moving your Q. And for many people, sure, that's probably the main aspect. And yet, as you get into the higher ranks, while this aspect is decent, I'm not saying it's bad, like it's clearly how you use the ability a lot. One of the main advantages is the pre-combat application of being able to flank and get into position extremely easily. Now, even a little hop like that, you see that? If I hop this wall, or let's say if I explosive blank to this wall, if there's a fight over here, correct? Like, look how long it takes me to get into this fight. Okay, well, long if I'm bad at the game. Okay, yeah, you can see sometimes it's just, and this is another thing, sometimes you just need to know where it wants you to put your mouse. So I guess on this wall, it wants me to put my mouse right here. Because if I put it over here, oh, it does work. Yeah, so it wants me to put my wall, or it wants me to put my mouse kind of in this angle. See that? Like it wants me to put my mouse somewhere out here. At any rate, even though I did that very poorly, you can see that a player proficient with Aatrox and who's put a lot of time into learning this champion will know that they can get into that fight very quickly and that they can be here much faster than similar champions. Now, actually, if I load up one more champion here and show you something, I'm going to load up one more champion and show you their ability. So, Fiora's Q has 360 range. So, when you especially factor in the reduced cooldown, it's a 3-second cooldown, much lower than Aatrox's E of 5 seconds. It's a 3-second cooldown, but it's 6 seconds if you don't hit someone. 360 range, not increased over terrain. So, once again, this is a case of two abilities which, at face value, can seem similar, even though, you know, one is a dash attack and one is a dash. They can seem somewhat similar as low cooldown dash abilities, and yet in the Aatrox versus Fiora matchup, you would notice that Aatrox can very commonly get away from Fiora because her Q doesn't gain additional range over terrain. So she could hop a short wall like this, right? But if I'm playing Aatrox, I would know, oh, well, she can't hop the longer walls. So if I hopped here, she would have to go over to here, then hop here, at which point I would be over here, putting her out of range. 6-second cooldown to my 5. I can hop another wall, and the game's about to end. So this video, I guess, is going to have to end. Anyway, that's basically it. I don't think that it's sort of a rant, but it's also sort of a helper for people to understand, okay? Yeah. So, that's basically it. I know you guys like it when I make those sorts of videos that I just talk about things, and this is just me talking about something that isn't, once again, it's not that big a deal. Like, at the end of the day, it's not that big a deal. You play the champions enough, you'll learn it. But it's just one of these artificial skill floor increases that exists in the game that I don't like that exists in the game. Even a simple wording in the tooltip, Aatrox's E moves farther over terrain. You wouldn't even have to list its increased speed. Just, it moves farther over terrain. Give people a hint in-game. Give people the option to know without going to the wiki that this can happen. Because I believe that even giving them the little bit of a key would be good. Now, just to be clear, on my last video about Aatrox's Omnivamp, I did see a lot of comments on the video saying, oh my god, I didn't know that Aatrox's E wasn't reduced by AoE. I kept trying to single target my Q, which I'm not sure why they would think that would work, but you can see here that people actually changed their gameplay patterns because of faulty and bad tooltips. You saw that people tried to hit only a single person with their Q to get the most healing out of it, right? And that's literally the opposite of what you're supposed to do. So yes, you go back and you look at those comments and you can see that yes, these faulty tooltips are bad for the game and they do impact people's playstyle. They do change what they do, and that isn't good. So, thank you for watching. I appreciate you all if you made it to the end of this. This was a bit longer because I went a bit ranty with it. But basically, I will try to make more videos on this because there are a lot of faulty or tooltip issues that aren't the greatest. There's one in particular I feel like I shouldn't talk about because it will get Aatrox's heal stacking nerfed. I feel like I shouldn't mention it because it would be such a riot thing to do, to just do a blanket nerf without addressing why issues are that way. But I might make a video on it, but that would be for later. So, anyway, thank you all for watching. I appreciate you all for being here. Once again, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe. I very much appreciate you all for being here. As of right now, I am experiencing some DDoS attacks, so I can't stream. So I will try, at least for the next few days, to put out a video a day and give you guys something to watch. And that's also why this is a little bit longer, is because for those of you who can't watch my stream because I can't really stream while I get DDoSed every time I try to stream, at least you can enjoy a longer video from me for you. So thank you everyone for this. Thank you everyone. Bye-bye.